الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في القرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والذين يحبون كبائر الإثم والفواحش وإذا ما غضبوا هم يغفرون والذين استجابوا لربهم وأقاموا الصلاة وأمرهم شورى بينهم صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. In tonight's Tarawih we have completed the 25th juz of the Quran, consisting of various different surahs, inshallah, as we will go through. For those of you who are asking when are we going to be completing the Quran, inshallah ta'ala, this Sunday we will be doing the completion of the Quran, which is the 29th night. Brothers are requested to, inshallah, try and grab every single person to the best of their ability and fill this masjid. Not because we want the numbers, not because we want, it's the completion of the Quran. And at the time of the completion of the Quran, the dua that you make, Allah accepts the dua. That is the reason why it's my request that even those brothers whom you know that they attended somewhere else and they had completed the Quran on the 27th night, which was Friday night, which is this coming Friday, grab them and bring them along. We do not know if the 29th night could be the night of Qadr. And at the same time, we are completing the Quran. So that's the reason my humble request is try and fill this entire place up, upstairs and downstairs. The simple reason for that is Sahaba Ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'in, when they would hear a Sahabi completing the Quran, they would all rush towards that house. And they would participate in listening the latter part of the Quran, obviously the last couple of surahs, and at the same time also make sure that they are there at the completion of the Quran. So any dua that they make, any need and necessities they have, Allah will accept it. That's why it is a great moment. Completion of the Quran is not something small. It is a huge moment in a person's life, and alhamdulillah, the life of our community. It's a huge moment as we're going to be completing the Quran for the first time in this masjid. Since after it's been renovated and it's beautified. So it's an opportunity. Try and bring friends, families, whoever you know. Even those are next door neighbors who you know that they don't attend this place, we'll bring them along. All you have to tell them, it is the completion of the Quran, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept any dua that you make, inshallah. So try and, from now, try and get as many people as possible to come to the masjid for the completion of the Quran on Sunday night. In tonight's Tarawih, we recited Surah Shura, which is consultation, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes mention the qualities of the believer in consultation. وَالَّذِينَ يُحِبُّونَ كَبَائِرَ الْإِثْمِ وَالْفَوَاحِشِ They stay away from immorality. Even when they are angry, they forgive. وَإِذَا مَا غَضِبُوا هُمْ يَغْفِرُونَ. Then Allah further on says, a believer is he who responds to the commands of Allah and establishes salah. وَأَمْرُهُمْ شُورَى بَيْنَهُمْ His matters are decided by mutual consultation. And this is the beauty of it, that the more we consult with one another of what's the way forward, Allah will bless that particular consultation. But the more we single-handedly make our own decisions, we'll find that there'll be no barakah in that decision. But if we congregate and converge and we consult one another, Allah puts barakah in the hearts, and Allah unites the hearts of the people, and from that particular consultation there'll be a lot of blessings with it. We made mention regarding the incident of the Battle of Trench, when the Prophet ﷺ, he consulted the Sahaba as to what's the way forward when he heard that the kuffar are preparing an army of 15,000. There was no provocation from the Muslims. And only the words the Prophet ﷺ first he uttered was Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. Allah is sufficient and He is the best guardian. The next step forward is, what's the practical note? He gathered the Sahaba and he had mutual consultation. Why did he have mutual consultation, and yet him being the Nabi of Allah, when he can get direct revelation from Allah? Why did he consult the Sahaba? For two particular reasons. Number one, to unite their hearts, and number two, to establish the importance of mashwara, consultation. And this is where it happens. And really, brothers, this is where we really need to contemplate. At times where we don't consult, we have children, we have little children, but it's even nice consulting them as well. It's nice consulting them and to see their little ideas that they have. The ideas, what kind of ideas? Ideas like, for example, you ask the little child, what car are we going to buy? I think Dad, we must buy this car. But when you say children are children, they'll say, Father, you must buy the Lamborghini. No, we can't afford Lamborghini. Inshallah, some other time, when we get the chance and opportunity Allah give us. But at the same time, asking our children for mashwara in these, I'm not saying everything. I'm not saying everything we should ask our children, but in certain things, so they also feel that we're part of the family. At least my dad had the decency of asking me. Because you know why? Because your son is a kingpin around his own little group of people. And when his own friends ask him for an opinion, he feels big about himself. But his own father cannot ask him for an opinion. So he feels that my father, I'm not going to be part of any decision of my father. So we should try and make our children part of our decision, but not in everything. So they can also be part of the family. That importance, that what we need to consult. Likewise, the child will have the same kind of response back. That no, let me consult my father before buying this. Now when the child has that same kind of habit, because the father adopted it first, and he consulted his own son in buying a specific thing, when the child tends to grow up, becomes from teenage to adulthood, you will find that the child himself will start consulting with the father. Naturally. Because of the response that he got when he was young, when his father would consult him. So that's what we need to do, and that's what we need to try and adopt as well. Ali radiallahu anhu asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what if we don't have direct guidance from Quran, and what are we supposed to do? So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "O Ali, then consult the people of knowledge and the pious people." That's where we're supposed to be consulting. So if we can't get any answers directly from the Quran and Sunnah, and it is difficult, then let's go to the people of knowledge. They will help and assist us. Not start opening books ourselves and say that, okay, here is a verdict, and you start reading just a translation version. You have no idea the concept of Arabic, and here you're trying to pick up the translation of a hadith. But you have no concept of Arabic in your life. So again, let's go to the people of knowledge. Let's go to the right individual, so that we know that this person will be able to give us the correct answer to what we're looking for. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala further on says, وَالَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَهُمُ الْبَغْيُ هُمْ يَنْتَصِرُونَ. When the believer is wrong, he takes steps to rectify and amend the wrong. So when we are wrong, we must take steps to make sure that we correct that wrong. So if we have broken a relationship, we have to make sure that we now mend that relationship. And everything for that matter, from objects to relationships to everything. we need to, if we break something, we need to make sure that we mend it as well. And not just leave it broken. And that is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, وَالَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَهُمُ الْبَغْيُ هُمْ يَنْتَصِرُونَ. Take a step forward and do it. وَجَزَاءُ سَيِّئَةٍ سَيِّئَةٌ مِثْلُهَا. The retribution for an evil done against one is a proportionate response. فَمَنْ عَفَى وَأَصْلَحَ فَأَجْرُهُ عَلَى اللَّهِ. And so for the one who, instead of retaliating, forgives and then makes amends, his reward will be with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and does not oppress. إِنَّهُ لَا يُحِبُّ الظَّالِمِينَ. And Allah does not like those who oppress. So there's a little bit of skirmish between the two of you, and you decided to amend that relationship, although it wasn't your problem, or it wasn't your fault, but you still decided to mend that relationship between the two of you, then your reward is by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You do not expect anything from that individual, although you made sure that you mend that relationship. But remember, everything, the reward is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَمَنْ صَبَرَ وَغَفَرَ إِنَّ ذَلِكَ لَمِنْ عَزْمِ الْأُمُورِ. Whenever you exercise patience, and that person who pardons the one who has done wrong, this is certainly a main thing, the most resolute of matter, requires great courage. So to do this particular action of mending it, and even though that you're not wrong, and you still mend that relationship, that means that you need a lot of courage to do that. Basically, you need to have more guts to do it. Because you're the one who is now mending the relationship, although you are not to blame, you are not at fault at all as well. It was his fault. He was to blame. But you still came forward and took that initiative. The determination of children. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَخْلُقُ مَا يَشَاءُ وَيَهَبُ لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ الذُّكُورَ وَيُزَوِّجُهُمْ ذُكْرَانًا وَإِنَاثًا وَيَجْعَلُ مَنْ يَشَاءُ عَقِيمًا إِنَّهُ عَلِيمٌ قَدِيرٌ. Allah creates whatever He wishes. He grants some people some female, sometimes twins, both male or both female, or one male or one female. And some couple barren, no children. Allah is all-knowing. Sometimes we find a couple are married for 10, 12, 13, 14 years, absolutely no children. Then suddenly Allah blesses them with a child after 15 years. Allah blesses them with a child. And subhanAllah, where most of us are in the situation that Allah has blessed us, we just got married and barely a year went by and subhanAllah, wife is pregnant. So again, it's a ni'mah, it's a blessing, but it's up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whomsoever He wants to give children to, and that's it. It's up to the hands and the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, we try our level best to our capability, but then everything is in the hands of Allah. Allah will, and I know couples, 12, 13 years of their life, absolutely no children. And then, subhanAllah, Allah gave them one after the other. 4, 5 children Allah has blessed them with. And subhanAllah, today we'll find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed that person. He just barely got married. You ask the brother when he got married. He goes, I just got married about 3 years ago, and mashallah, Allah has blessed him with about 3, 4 children already. So again, that's a ni'mah, it's a blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He will give whomsoever He wants to. He will give twins. At times, and then the second point is, which I would like to clarify and make mention of, is in relation to we have this kind of ill kind of thought and feeling that I think I should have boys, or my first child has to be a boy. When we have a female, when you have a girl, then we have this kind of, oh, okay, it's a girl, so take a step back. For a moment, look, brothers, let's look at the fact that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had 4 beautiful daughters. Leave alone that. Look at what happened to the mother of Maryam alayhi salam. Remember, she made the father said, you know what? If my wife becomes pregnant, then this is what we are going to do: give the child up for the monastery. So they expected a male, a boy, and to their utter surprise, Allah blessed them with a girl. So they was taken aback for a moment, but Allah, reassured them that this girl is far better than a boy as well. So that's what we need to take into solace and take pride of daughters. Not the days of ignorance and jahiliyyah, where they would bury their daughters alive because they felt it's like it's on their dignity and honor. It feels down that I've been blessed with a girl. And in the days of ignorance and jahiliyyah, what they used to do is absolutely unheard of. It's written in some books that in the days of ignorance, they would dig a hole, and the father and the daughter would play like little games. They would jump over the hole. So the girl would jump over the hole, and the father would keep on doing that, playing around, till he pushes the child in the hole and quickly gets the spade and closes up that hole, and the child is crying, "Oh my father, what are you doing? Please take me home." Imagine, this is days of ignorance, days of jahiliyyah. They used to bury their own daughters alive. So it's a great ni'mah, it's a blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses us with either a boy or a girl. No, it doesn't matter. It's like for myself, Allah has blessed me with two lovely daughters. Like everybody else, some might have only boys, and they're craving to have a girl. And there might be a family who has only girls and they're craving to have a boy. But remember, everything happens within the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We cannot dictate, we cannot say that, oh, I'm going to make sure that this time, if my wife becomes pregnant, I hope and I make sure I only want a boy. I don't want a girl. Girls are blessings. Let me tell you that girls are a blessing and brings a lot of barakah within the home, just like boys do. The girls also bring a lot of barakah, blessing. They're the coolness of your eyes, they're the beauty. And to be honest, ask any parent, you'll cherish a girl more than the boy. So how the mother dolls the girl, and the mother will not be able to do the same thing with the boy. Leave him scruffy and as it is. Let him roam around. But the girl has to be dolled up. So again, that's the difference. Ask the mother, she'll tell you the difference. Girls are absolutely precious. They're gems. Boys are very rebellious. They're naughty, they're vicious. Where girls are still calm. They still listen. Okay, no problem. So that's how it is. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless our children and make them the corners of our eyes. And then in Surah Al-Zukhruf, Allah made mention of the economic and distribution of wealth. أَهُمْ يَقْسِمُونَ رَحْمَةَ رَبِّكَ نَحْنُ قَسَمْنَا بَيْنَهُمْ مَعِيشَتَهُمْ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَرَفَعْنَا بَعْضُهُمْ فَوْقَ بَعْضٍ دَرَجَاتٍ. Do you humans distribute Allah's mercy? Allah distributes sustenance and wealth among people. Allah granted higher status to some and others. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that, remember, the sustenance which I give you, you must learn to distribute it correctly. And remember, if I give someone status, don't crave for it. Because remember, tomorrow that status can be taken away from that individual and given to somebody else. And there are numerous examples in today's time and from the previous times where we will find that people had status. Allah gave that individual everything. But he did not show gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He did not show mercy upon the humankind. Because Allah gave him wealth, but He did not distribute His wealth appropriately. Allah took away everything and gave it to somebody else. So we need to learn that, remember, Allah can give and Allah can take as well. Within the blink of an eye. Allah doesn't need assistance. Allah can take it overnight from you and that's it, leave you bankrupt. And you won't have a single thing. So we need to be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then further on, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about how Fir'aun addresses his people. وَنَادَى فِرْعَوْنُ فِي قَوْمِهِ قَالَ يَا قَوْمِ لَيْسَ لِي مُلْكُ مِصْرَ وَهَذِهِ الْأَنْهَارُ تَجْرِي مِنْ تَحْتِي. Don't I have the country Egypt and the rivers, agriculture, prosperity? Am I better or Musa better? He doesn't have anything. I have. أَنَا خَيْرٌ. He stutters when he speaks. Look how eloquent I am. فَلَوْلَا أُلْقِيَ عَلَيْهِ أَسْوِرَةٌ مِّن ذَهَبٍ أَوْ جَاءَ مَعَهُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ مُقْتَرِنِينَ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in trying to give us the lesson that we learn from Fir'aun and how he addressed his people. But look at the haughtiness and how he has mentioned that, look, وَنَادَى فِرْعَوْنُ فِي قَوْمِهِ قَالَ يَا قَوْمِ أَلَيْسَ لِي مُلْكُ مِصْرَ وَهَذِهِ الْأَنْهَارُ تَجْرِي مِنْ تَحْتِي. Look at me what I have. I've got the country Egypt. Yes, he was the king of Egypt, Fir'aun. Look at the waters and the rivers, the agriculture. Look at the prosperity which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had blessed him. But look what happened. Look the ending of Fir'aun. What happened to him? And what did he tell his people? That am I better or Musa is better? And Musa is the Nabi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But he is trying to make himself far greater than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did to him. That not the sea wants him, not the ground wants him. And today Allah made an example of him. That not just generations upon generations will see you. So again, it's a lesson that your haughtiness and your pride and your arrogance and your pomp won't take you anywhere. It will last for a little bit of time, that's all. And showing off will only last for a little bit of time. And then after that, everything will go away. We hear, many a times we hear our youngsters driving those fast and those flashy cars, showing off. The next thing you know, at the end of the road, they've met up in an accident with the same car, which doesn't even belong to them. That's the most amazing part. It does not belong to them, it is hired, and yet they drove into a wall. So again, showing off, flashing around, it's for a little period of time. After that, Allah will take it away from you. So remember, brothers, if Allah has given us, be humble and have humility inside us. And continue giving, because Allah will give you more. Allah likes when people give, so that He can give you more. And He will continue to bless you more. As long as you are giving. But the moment you stop giving, Allah will say, right, I'm also going to stop giving. Why should I give you more when you're not giving? So Allah puts an end to it. And that's it. Now, what you have, that's what you have. After that, I'm not going to give you more. So this is what we learn from the incident of Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu wasalam and Fir'aun. Then Surah Al-Dukhan, on a Friday night, 70,000 angels praise for his forgiveness. That for that person who recites Surah Al-Dukhan. Dukhan means smoke, the last sign before the day of Qiyamah. Over the horizon, waiting for rain, and then drought in Makkah al-Mukarramah. So all these incidents that will take place, and then the drought will, then the smoke will happen, and then the day of Qiyamah will occur. So we should try and recite Surah Al-Dukhan every Friday night. 70,000 angels praise forgiveness for that individual who recites it. And the last surah which we recite is Surah Al-Jathiyah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, have you seen how those people made their base desires the deity? أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ. Allah is saying, have you seen those individuals who have made their base desires their deity? So they worship their desires, that's all. They don't worship anything else. You'll find communities kneeling before Allah on the day of Qiyamah. وَتَرَى كُلَّ أُمَّةٍ جَاثِيَةٍ, out of fear and awe regarding our accountability and action. So we will be down on our knees begging Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for accountability to begin. And here we know the famous hadith where the nation will run to Adam alayhi salatu wasalam, asking Adam that why don't you plead to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to begin the accountability. Adam alayhi salatu wasalam will say that how can I, when I ate from that forbidden tree? People will come to various different prophets, they'll come to Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, and they'll say that, Musa, why don't you ask Allah to begin? Musa alayhi salatu wasalam said, but I gave that man one thump, one punch, and I just floored him, and he died. And there's accountability for everything. People will come to Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, that why don't you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to start the accountability? Isa alayhi salatu wasalam said, how can I start when people started worshipping me as being the Son of God and being God Himself? So how can I begin? The people will come to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and he'll be right under the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then the people will ask, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam will start, and when people will come to the Prophet ﷺ for the accountability to begin, and then the Prophet ﷺ will fall into sajda, and there Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask that raise your head, O Muhammad, ask what you want to ask, and that's when accountability will begin. So we make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah gives us the ability that on the day of Qiyamah, when we stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we are with the followers of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam can recognize us. But really, brothers, our amal, they're not worthy of anything at all. Me and you don't even know whether any of our amal is accepted here in the month of Ramadan. We can only make dua, oh Allah, whatever little that we have done in the month of Ramadan, we should have valued it. We should have made qadr of the month. But unfortunately we haven't. The little that we have done, oh Allah, accept it. But we know that little that we have done, we know that little will not allow us to enter the doors of Jannah. But let us be in that situation that when the Prophet ﷺ look at us, so he holds our hands and he takes us through the doors of Jannah. And that's how we want to go, is holding the hand of the Prophet ﷺ and entrance into Jannah. And that's the pinnacle of joy. That is what we need to aspire for. So let us, brothers, in this month of Ramadan, the few hours, the few minutes that we have left, the few days that we have left, value every moment, every second of it. We may not know that if we die tomorrow, whether we get to see another Ramadan or not. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. سبحان الله.